Just to start here, got to get this video going. And Karin and I have, as you know, most of you know, have traveled quite extensively in the last 15 years in many places in the world. And we've been dealing with the issue of safe water in many, many places in the world where we see just horrendous that went quick. Situations where people just don't get, they travel, they walk for miles to get muddy water because that's all there is, and we've seen lots of that. And so one of the ministries we've been kind of alongside of what we've been doing over the years has been safe water. And so we've learned quite a bit about it, but we're by no means experts. So I kind of just thought, as we were parceling out different things here to learn about, that even though we're very limited in our own experience, we're probably the best equipped here to do that as far as we know. But so I volunteered and wanted to just give you some information about what we know, and also just to get you whet your appetite and give you a little bit of direction, at least on where to learn about more stuff. So Karin has a handout. Go ahead and pass those out if you would. Here's some general information on there. Let me have one or two, please. Karin, can I have one? So there is so much available for to make water safe, and so we're talking about, again, like in the situation where, well, let's say you have storms like we had yesterday, and we had a tornado warning up our way, and if you have power out for a few days, obviously, if you have a well pump, you have, like we do, we have our own water well on our property, and if our power goes out, we've got no water. A couple of flushes on the toilets, and that's about it. And so thankfully we have a creek running through our property, so we could go down there and scoop up some water. But those are things to think about, and if you know about a storm is coming, and many of you have done this already probably, you've heard this, well, go over and fill your bathtub up so you have some water, or fill some jugs or something like that, just in case you have need for a little bit of water. But in the case of a prolonged situation where you don't have any power, then what are you going to do? You could go down to the store, and part of the preparation, no doubt, like Alana and Frank have been doing, is to get some spring water or distilled water in bottles from the store. It's sealed and it's on a shelf and you can access it. But of course, that's only going to last so long, so you have to figure out something more sustainable. And I do recommend those sorts of things. I mean, that's just common sense. And then you can also, what we've done is in the past is we get like a leftover, if you get a jug for distilled water or something for your iron or some other things in your house, well, when that's empty, it's a perfect container to refill and stick it somewhere. And we often, we'll do, we have a refrigerator in our garage, and we oftentimes don't have a whole lot in there, so we put jugs of water in there, and that also helps the refrigerator be more efficient. Within reason, the more it has in there, the more liquids, the more when you open the refrigerator and close it, the less of that cool air that you lose. So, you've got this sheet in front of you here, and I'm just going to go down through a couple of things here. Just some considerations you have, and like I said, there's so many different things in the market, so I'm not going to promote any one particularly except for the features it has. So in other words, I did a quick look on YouTube and found lots of videos, lots of do-it-yourself kinds of things, how to filter water, this sort of thing. And so you have to do your own research on some of that stuff. But I do caution you, well, I'll get to that in a second here. Let's go, first of all, a good system should require no power. You don't want to have something that's dependent on power, obviously. And most systems do not. So they use gravity feed or some kind of a thing like that, or you pour it in manually, you pour into a container. The filter should say that it filters 99.99, and some say 9999, a few more nines on there. Basically, it says, it's their way of saying it pretty much filters everything, but we can't guarantee that there's no particle that might get through. And so, and they should filter all significant bacteria and viruses and also any kind of suspended solids, like you get muddy water, that's all those, what makes it muddy is little suspended solids in there, and if you let it sit for long enough, they all sink to the bottom, right? They all go down, and other things like metals, perhaps, and other maybe harmful particles that might be
Could you
there.
talk just a little bit louder for the back, just a little bit louder?
Okay. That's a challenge for me. Can't project my voice.
Yes, you can.
So-
Yeah.
And if I spit anybody on the front row, I apologize. Three, you want to use a system should have filtration elements that have a long time, a long lifespan. In other words, not a cartridge that, like a lot of us have home systems, like in our refrigerator, we have a cartridge that goes in there to filter the water comes through. That kind of stuff doesn't last very long. So you want something that actually has the micro filtration capabilities, and then also the way that you maintain that is you back flush it periodically to get those contaminants out, so it continues on for thousands and thousands of gallons, and that's what you want. 4, obviously be simple and lightweight, because you might have to carry it somewhere. That's something, I remember we were in Haiti once, and there was a safe water ministry that came in right after the earthquake, and we were in the same community working, and they had this thing, it was basically the size of something you have to need a forklift to get it in there, and you had a gasoline engine on it, and all this
Oh my.
really complex. And this is like, well, this is great until it breaks down, and nobody around, they're not gonna leave anybody here to maintain that thing. So, anything that's too complicated, too heavy, you avoid those things. And then number 5, offer a variety of options. What I mean by that is, things have different size containers. This is a bucket here, it also has, the filter part itself is small, it unscrews, you can take this part here and travel with it. That's the filtration part. So, things like that. Some other consideration here in the red column, if you know or suspect some kind of dissolved substance in there, some kind of chemicals, or the water tastes bad or something like that, you can get the carbon filters that go in there, and there's ways to reactivate that carbon, but that usually requires to be heated and such like that. Yes.
Put you back in that bucket there, that portable filter. That's what you would take along with a bottle, so if you had to siphon through a muddy pit or whatever, you'd siphon it into the bottle and then go through that.
Right, you
Is
can
that
fill that
right?
bottle with that water,
Yeah,
and then put
and
that
then-
on there, and you squeeze it into your
Right.
mouth. Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
I'm just clarifying.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but again, things that are dissolved are things that can't be filtered out. So in other words, like chlorine cannot be filtered out through a microfiber. It has to be a carbon, some kind of chemical process there. Number 2, avoid depending on expendable water purification techniques, such as tablets or other chemical purifiers. Now, those things will work in the short run, and they're good to have around, but not something to depend on for a long period of time, because, again, it's something that's, what do you call it? You use it up, it's consumable item, and you don't want that. Number 3, do not use systems designed around single-use filters. Obviously, coffee filter, use it one time and that's it, stuff like that. And then 4, be wary of YouTube videos promoting do-it-yourself solutions, as many are not well tested, even though they might say they are. So you gotta just, consumer beware, and just be smart about that stuff. If something's been around for 20 years and is proven technology, that's a really good thing you probably ought to focus on. And then if you wanna try a little do-it-yourself thing in your backyard, while if you wanna do that as a little hobby, obviously you can do that. So, and then on the back here, some things that Karen and John put on here, had some ideas too, some very similar things. Now, some of the same things and some additional things you can look at on there, because I didn't, if you have any questions, you can, bring them to Karen and John. But I'm gonna keep it short, and I have a video here to show you as well, so I know we're coming up to the 8 o'clock, hour here, so. This here is a bucket that goes kind of, like, you mentioned, this can go onto a drinking bottle. But the best way to use these kind of things, especially in volume, is to get a bucket. And you need to get a food grade bucket, not a Home Depot or Lowe's plastic bucket, because they leach out some plastic. So it has to be food grade. And a lot of times, the best way to do is get two of these buckets, one that gravity feeds into the other. So you put if you got muddy water, you put it in the first one and let it settle out, so that the water goes, as it comes through, it gets cleaner and cleaner, because the cleaner the water that comes through here, the less you have to back flush it and maintain it. So, even though, and you'll see in this video too, that these things will handle that kind of stuff, it just means you gotta clean it more often, and that's not something you wanna do. And these things are really simple. This thing here is like less than $50, I think, this filter. And you gotta buy the bucket separately, but it comes with a little thing here where you put a little, it comes with a drill bit that you actually just drill in with your hand. You can use obviously a drill, but you can also, it's soft plastic, you can just go through. And then you put a valve in there and a hose that comes out, and what you see right here, you screw that on here, in here like that, and it's pretty simple. And then John and Karen brought some things. I don't know what's in this box, but here's a filter here, and it's John, can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll try it. I brought some stuff to just kind of fill in. You're like the main event.
Well, yeah.
So, but I would like to say some things, I like, when you're talking about water, they say that, the first thing is air. What do you do without air? You're pretty much done. And pretty much right second to that is water. I think it could last 3 days and that's it. So we're talking about water, and you're talking about situations that impact water. And this is, well, if you're gonna, we take water so much for granted that well, we had a power outage, and we're hopefully they said it'd be back on by 8 o'clock. Fortunately, we have a system that will run our pump for our well. So hopefully it's going to be operational when we get back. So anyway, I didn't want to get into that, other than the fact that if you have water, and if you're in a situation where the more desperate you come, the more you take chances. But the main thing is I want to say is that we got filters, but the reality is if you don't have these filters, you're the filter. And so if you don't get things filtered out, you become the filter, then you become the byproduct and you get impacted by what's in the water. So we, Jeff had this thing, and I just wanted to tell you, is that there are other things. As I went, did a little bit of research. Here, you can get things to treat your own water. Like this, there's tincture of iodine here, and there's the formula for using that if you want to do that. There are filters on the market, tube filters. You can carry this if you're backpacking. That's like I carry this in my hunting gear. Because when I'm out, it's you got to carry a bottle of water with you. Well, that gets heavy. But so you can have one of these things, and you just fill that with full of water, and then you suck up the straw. and those things are available, you can come take a look at it. This is probably similar to what you have there, which is just just a tube, it's a straw that you just,
Well, then can I just say, that's only, that does a limited amount.
yeah.
That
they're-
will do
yeah, they're for-
thousands of
These are
gallons,
for
right?
personal, these are for
Like a
personal,
single use.
these are for personal uses, you know, like, put one of these in a car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or if you're out in the back and you get stuck, you know, this is a canteen that you can get where you can actually carry, that has a filter system built right in the, into the truck, into the unit that you can get, and like I said, you know, there are things that are available, but the buyer beware, I guess. So, and then there's this thing is for greater volumes of water. But be able to carry things.
Right.
You know, is that the person's supposed to have a gallon of water per day. You know, you need to be prepared for that, and you can do. But the odd thing of this is you've gotta have containers that are food safe. You know, you can complicate your life real quick. I know, like, I made a mistake once where I used to save old milk jugs. Bad mistake. That milk gets into the plastic. You fill that full of water and you put it stored, you've got funky water. And then you've gotta use your system, the water system, the water, you can use it, but you gotta filter it. If you don't filter that water, you're gonna have a problem. You know, so you can also use bleach, chlorine bleach, that's a way of disinfecting water. Matter of fact, that you can use that if you have problems in a well, sometimes that gets bad. So I'm just filling in the cracks here, Jeff,
Okay, well, thanks, John, I appreciate that. There's some things that I wouldn't have thought of, but that's really helpful. One of the things that, notice too, that Karen put on the back here is a reminder, well, it's at the bottom of this page here where you start into it, is where you get that, you get the filter, but you don't have water, you're still up the creek. up
That's
the dry creek.
Right.
So, some ways to collect water, rain barrels. We live in a climate, thankfully, where we get usually sufficient rain to keep some water in. And then obviously, number two is purchase stuff, at least to have a short supply. The bathtub thing I mentioned, and then also the other jugs. But also, I mentioned before that we have a creek running through our property that runs all year round, thankfully. And a lot of people don't have water on their property, so it's in any way like that. But if you have a pond or you have a neighbor that has, maybe if you know somebody close by that you can walk to reasonably, who have a pond or a creek, you might want to get friendly with them, you know, say, hey, if I don't know how you'd word it, but, you know, basically, so that you might be able to come down and get some of their water would be helpful. So was there anything else, Karen, that you had in the back here that we left out that we gotta cover?
No, I think we did
Okay.
cover things well. I just wanted to mention them just to kind of, like, maybe kind of this hierarchy here, like in our house, like we do have a well. And if that's working, that's great. Now, we do have a backup to the well, but if that breaks down, then we can get water from it, but if that breaks down, then we're stuck. We have no water on our property. So our next thing would be a rain barrel. Like if we got, if there was an extended outage, you know, that we, and, or a well didn't work. And so a rain barrel is a good thing. Now you have to go food safe rain barrels. And we just have like an old,
Let me interject
it was
something.
a juice
So
barrel.
you don't get the rain barrel when you're out of water.
No,
Yeah.
you do it ahead
You
of
get the
time.
rain barrel before you need the water.
Like
Absolutely.
it rains a lot.
It's like I put down there, it says that you should understand siphoning. If you've never siphoned, you need to understand what siphoning is.
Exactly.
Because you get to transport, to be able to move water from one container to another container, it's cumbersome, you know, and it becomes precious when you don't have it.
And just one of the things, we got rain barrels, we did this a while back, from the Amish around here somewhere. They were,
Yeah, food grade
Food grade.
rain, water
Yeah,
trucks.
I've never heard of food grade ones, are they?
Yeah, you can get
large?
food grade
Yeah.
55-gallon drums.
they had juice in
Wow.
them, they had juice in
They
them.
had
That's
pickle
nice.
juice, some things you don't wanna get it because there's kind of,
Flavor.
But they're
yeah,
all,
the flavor, but you can get it like, they've had jelly, they've had jelly, and a few different things.
Water tastes sweet all the time.
Yeah,
but
but
that
you
would
can,
be
you
something.
can get food grade barrels.
But if you own a home or something, have an offer, that would be a good thing to have, you know.
All right, let me go ahead and show this video. A couple of reasons why I decided to do that. One is I could talk less. Number two, they cover some interesting things in here that I thought was good. It's a good visual demonstration of purifying water. They do kind of promote one, it's one of those TED Talks videos. If you've seen those, they're often very informative. And they demonstrate a particular brand, which obviously you can check out. And it was done back in '09, I think, but the whole technology is really the same. In fact, I just remember that the cartridges like this, these microfiber ones, I've heard that they're the same, they have the same tubing inside that goes all the way around. There's a lot of tubing in there and the water travels all through there, but it's like the same kind I use for like kidney dialysis, that kind of like surgical grade kind of thing, so, medical grade. So, also, they have some examples here they show of some places like Africa, and just kind of quickly to give you an idea of some of the places that we've gone and some of them we've done, and it's a good awareness thing of what the challenges of safe water are in the world. They're really huge. We are so complacent really when it comes to that. But also the guy has a nice British accent, so I don't, that's always a plus. So. All right, so this is about 10 minutes long here, so.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to talk about a couple of things today.
Picture this. You're sitting at home alone.